Hey you guys, it's Katya with Hindustan Astrology here, and in this video, we are going to discuss the month of June 2025 Vedic Sidereal forecast. Now, this month, we're kind of settling into some energies. Jupiter just went into Gemini. Um, May 29th, we had the nodes changing signs, right? So Rahu's in Aquarius now, and K2 is in Leo. So we're kind of settling into these energies. And I feel like, they are in a trine. Well, Rahu and Jupiter are in a trine right now. They're both in an air sign. So this puts a lot of emphasis on new information, new technology, of course, the media being in focus. Um, and with Rahu and Aquarius, my goodness, we're going to see some amazing new technologies, some new healing modalities, just a lot of much needed new energy. Finally, Mars is going to go out of Cancer this month. Yay! Mars has been debilitated in Cancer for quite some time. And so now he goes into Leo where he does quite well. However, he will be conjunct K2. The actual conjunction doesn't happen until next month by degree, but they are going to be together, and this is going to cause a lot of heated, um, you know, debates, a lot of difficulties, even some violence probably. We've got to be careful this summer, and especially up here in the northern hemisphere, heat, wildfires, those kinds of things. So we are marching forward with these new transits, but we've got a lot to unpack here. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so here we have the June 2025 Jyotish Vedic Astrology forecast with me, Katya. This is a picture of Appa. She is the goddess of water, closely connected with Varuna. Um, and she is the deity that rules Purva Ashada. And I just thought this was such a beautiful picture. Even though Purva Ashada is in Sagittarius, which is a fire sign, this is about the rush of emotion that comes in this part of Sagittarius, where they're very passionate about what they believe in, and they love to express it. So it's very creative nakshatra. And I love this picture, so I wanted to share it with you guys. Nothing's in Sag, except for the moon this month, but I just thought it was nice. We do have Jupiter and Gemini opposite Sag, so. Anyway, okay, here we go. Now, at the beginning of the month, we are starting off with two planets, Gandanta, Venus and Mars. They are having an overlap here. You can see from like May 31st until June 3rd. Both Venus and Mars are going to be Gandanta, and they are trining each other because they're each in a water sign. So what does this mean? Well, it just means from March 27th till June 3rd, Venus is crossing over from 26.4 degrees of Pisces and then going over the cusp into Aries till 3.2. That is the Gandanta zone. She is exactly exalted at 28 degrees. So isn't that interesting? Um, However, you know, Gandanta can just make us feel like we're emotionally drowning. It's hard for us to get a breath, so to speak. And it's a karmic knot that we have to unravel before we get to the next cycle. And then Mars, so what's interesting though is that Venus is exalted in Pisces, Mars is debilitated in Cancer. It's not exactly a Nichabanga Raja Yoga, which means a cancellation of debilitation for Mars, because they should be at an angle from each other, which is technically a square. But the trinal aspect is very helpful as well, I have to say. So I think Venus is going to help soften the Gandanta of Mars a little bit. And, you're just going to feel maybe overwhelmed, um, just very passionate about what you believe in. But, Mars rules the adrenals, and a lot of us have been very stressed out about things going on in the world, depressed, overwhelmed, feeling like, you can't control things around you. And I think this is a great time for us to really focus on getting our adrenals calmed down, get out of fight or flight, um, go swimming, do something that makes you helps go with the flow. And maybe that's why I put Appa up at the beginning. It's because we really do need to learn how to go with the flow. Okay. Now we have June 5th, 11:58 p.m. EST. Mercury enters Gemini. This is the sign ruler. Um, so yeah, Mercury does well here, and Mercury will be with Jupiter. And these two planets get along great. So I think this is a good sign of things improving for the United States economy as well, because this is our seventh house, Gemini. But Mercury can get a lot of anxiety here. So Jupiter will kind of expand that, you know, too much of a good thing, right? Too many thoughts, too many new ideas, not being able to feel grounded. And as Mars is still Gandanta when Mercury goes into Gemini, um, just try to be careful with your words. Don't, uh, get into arguments, really bite your tongue, that kind of thing. Um, and again, do, some meditation, some mantras, some things to help calm your mind down. And then the next day, June 6th at 4:43 p.m. EST, we have Mars going into Leo. Yay! Now he will be conjunct K2, as I said before, but um, he's out of his debilitation, so he can function better here. Now, Mars and K2 is likened to Mars. And so we can see people really, getting into what they believe in, really, standing behind, you know, their ancestors, really, especially while Mars goes through Maga, um, getting into their heritage, their tribe, that kind of thing. Um, but, we have to be careful of attacks, any kinds of attacks, right? From the outside, attacking ourselves as well, right? Like kind of beating ourselves up about things. But yeah, we all kind of have to be careful with Mars conjunct K2 until Mars goes into Virgo. The exact conjunction is July 20th. I think it's like 25 degrees of Leo. Um, so, again, all of the advice to just tread carefully, don't let other people trigger you. This is my biggest bit of advice, okay? Don't let other people upset you. Just don't. Don't give them that power over you. All right. Now, June 10th through July 10th, we have Jupiter combust the sun. Um, you know, he can't quite function as well with the sun. Now these planets get along great. They're in the same planetary family. However, you know, Jupiter can't quite express himself and protect us the way he usually does when he's combust. So I feel like Jupiter will really come into his power after July 10th. And I think he goes into Ardra around this time as well. So, Jupiter and Ardra, this can really amplify storms, amplify tragedies, amplify sorrow. It's the star of sorrow. We really howl at the moon with Ardra, right? It's ruled, the symbol is the dog. Well, the animal symbol. The symbol is a teardrop, but the animal for Ardra is the dog. And it's about howling your truth, right? It's Rudra, the divine aspect of Shiva that is howling, storms here. So, you know, I feel like this summer is going to be very interesting with water travel, especially with Saturn in Pisces making a square to Jupiter. Ships. Um, it's interesting. As soon as Saturn went into Pisces, there is a guy on TikTok named Oliver and his cat Phoenix who sailed from Oregon to Hawaii. And he's not the only person doing it right now, but there's something about his personality that's very engaging. And he has a health condition that made him realize the longevity of his life. And he said, I don't want to be miserable. I'm hitting the seas. And he's been very inspiring to people. And, that happened as soon as Saturn went into Pisces. So now all of these other sailors and sailing families are coming forward on TikTok like, hey, we're doing something similar too. I think that's very interesting that's when Saturn went into Pisces. We saw people really showing how they work at living on the sea. But we do have to be careful of storms this summer, especially with Jupiter and Ardra. So here we have our first full moon, our full moon of June, and it is on the 11th at 1:45 a.m. This is from Bloomington. I think I did all of my charts like this, you guys. I'm sorry. So DC is about 6 minutes ahead, so it's still an Aquarius ascendant. And here we have the moon in Scorpio for this full moon, and it's in Jyeshtha Nakshatra. Now, Jyeshtha is the star, the elder star, the eldest star. It is the fixed star Antares, and so it is about authority figures, people that protect others, like the military or the police force, but people that are in authority. And oftentimes there will be conflicts with authority when significant planets move through Jyeshtha. And so for the US, it's in the 10th house, and this is the house of the government. So we're going to see a lot of authority figures being tested at this time, I feel. The ruler of Scorpio is Mars, and Mars has just moved into Leo with K2. And it's in Maga, which is ruled by K2. So this is really going to be about tribal conflicts, national conflicts, people really standing up, believing in what their culture believes in. Yeah, and Mars is in the 7th house for this full moon, which is the house of the opponent in mundane astrology. So I feel, with Rahu here in an opposition to Mars now, this is amplifying and sitting with K2. So yeah, we definitely have a situation here where there could be attacks on the authorities, attacks on the government. And, the moon is the people as well. Moon is like kind of the mind of the people, and people are really upset with a lot of things happening right now. We do have Jupiter and Mercury, like I said, together now. And in the fifth house is speculations, like the stock market. I feel the economy will improve with this full moon, but there's going to be a lot of contention with the president, with Congress, people that are in leadership. Yeah, Venus is in Aries, which, in the 3rd house, that actually could stimulate the economy as well. But yeah, I feel like, there's just a lot of anger that will probably come to a head at this time. So just, lay low, don't get into arguments with people, really try to kind of, don't, like I said, don't get triggered. That's my biggest advice for this month. Yeah. And of course, Saturn and Neptune. Saturn is going to be approaching Neptune for an exact conjunction. In the second house, this is about money. This is about family. Saturn and Neptune together is kind of like a brainwashing effect. So I feel like the government's going to be saying a lot of things to try and, uh, keep us from the truth, but they're manipulating us with media. So if you can see through the veil, you'll be better off. Now, the ascendant is Aquarius, Shatabishak, and Shatabishak is the 100 healers. So, this is about curing hard to cure diseases. Mental health is going to be very highlighted during this full moon. And so, if you work in the hospitals or in the police, you're definitely going to see a lot of craziness on the 11th. I'm just warning you. Okay. Now we have June 11th through the 25th. First thing happening June 14th at 9:16 p.m. EST. We have the sun entering Sidereal Gemini. And yes, this is not Western astrology. This is Vedic Sidereal astrology. So if you open up your sky map and you look up on the 14th, you will see that the sun has entered Gemini from our perspective on Earth. So happy birthday to all the Geminis out there. We love your fun-loving spirit, your sense of adventure, your curious mind, and your ability to have fun. So thank you so much for being here. Then we have, and that puts obviously Sun with Jupiter now. And like I said earlier, there is a combustion happening, but it's not too bad. But I feel after July 10th, Jupiter will be able to be much more beneficial for us. And Mercury's just zipping along because on the 22nd at noon, he actually goes into Cancer. So, Mercury in Cancer is a little foggy. Super creative, good for music, can be good for, imaginative writing, but he's a little weak here. He has too many feelings and, his mind can't quite operate as well. But it is good for being psychic, right? So listen to your intuition while Mercury is in Cancer. Then June 25th at 6:30 a.m. EST, we have our new moon at 9 degrees, 54 minutes of Gemini Ardra Nakshatra. So all that Ardra stuff I was talking about earlier is really going to come in to focus on this new moon. I think storms are going to be pretty bad. Let's see. Yes, so for DC, the ascendant is Gemini as well. And look at how many things we have in Ardra. So there's going to be some things that are brought to the forefront that really make us sad. And, the state of the world right now is pretty sad. And I really feel like leaders, especially around the full moon, like I said 2 weeks earlier, the leadership it will be questioned. And I feel like around this time in the new moon, 2 weeks later, they really should be ashamed of themselves right now. They really should be about what they're allowing to happen, about the money they're allowing to be given to them to support certain causes that are against humanity and against what their constituents want. So there's going to be, some things that really bring us to our knees. Like I said, storms will be bad. Yeah, and look at this. On this day is the exact conjunction of Saturn and Neptune. So you better bet There are going to be some lies and deceit that come out of the government. It's in the 10th house for this new moon. They really have been trying to brainwash us into believing the lies they're spewing, and it's really going to come out at this time. And it's because something tragic will happen that makes us sad. You know, Mars is still conjunct K2 until next month. So yeah, you know, this is just a purging. We are living through a time of healing. And if you know anything about healing, you know, things have got to come to the surface to be rid and cleared. And I feel like this new moon will be such a time. Um, yeah. And then we have, oh, one more thing I want to say about this new moon. Notice the ascendant is Gemini, US ascendant is Sagittarius. So all this stuff is in the seventh house of the opponent. And I feel like the at least the economy will be improving. So that's a good thing. Then we have June 29th at 4:41 a.m. EST, Venus entering Taurus. Yay! I love Venus and Taurus. That's because that's where it is in my Navamsha, and I always do well when Venus is in Taurus. So that will put her with Uranus. And Venus and Uranus together can bring sudden windfalls of money, depending on where it is in your chart. It can bring a sudden relationship. Um, if you're a woman, it can bring you sudden, you know, friends. But, you know, generally speaking, you know, anytime one of the outer planets is with Venus, it can, oh, indicate things happening to women, right? We still haven't like cleared, you know, all of the stuff going on with women's health, reproductive rights that could come into focus because Venus is strong. She's in her own sign of Taurus, right? There could be sudden litigation that comes out. And, you know, for the United States, it's the sixth house. Sixth house is the house of service. So yeah, there could be it'd just be interesting to see how litigation is pushed along at this time concerning women's health and rights. Um, and let's see. So aspects we have when enters Leo, right on the 6th, he is making his 8th aspect to Saturn. That is another sign of intensity and struggle, power struggles. Let's see, he's putting his 4th aspect onto Scorpio. So for that full moon, right, that's bringing more intensity. Saturn is putting his 3rd aspect onto Taurus. So when Venus comes here, there's going to be pressure from Saturn here. He is putting his 7th aspect onto Virgo, and then his 10th aspect onto Sagittarius. So if you are those signs, you'll be feeling Saturn's gaze. Um, and yeah, I think really it's, you know, this change of Rahu and Ketu is what we're really going to be feeling. And of course, Gemini. So like I said at the beginning, we're kind of settling into this energy. It's something that, you know, will manifest differently as the month goes along. So if you didn't know, I am now doing in-person readings at the Fountain Square Mall, which is in downtown Bloomington, Indiana, on the square. And I have my own suite now. It's Suite 250. You can book your readings for in person or online at HindustanAstrology.com. Don't forget to sign up for the free monthly newsletter where I let you know where all the planets are going to be every month. And I give out a horoscope for all 12 signs. And, you know, don't forget also, I do Reiki. So, you know, you can get a healing session. And Tarot. So now we're going to go on to the next part of the forecast, which is about the Tarot forecast for the month. Okay, so let's see what the cards have to say for this month. Yeah, so when you come either in person or online and get a reading from me, I like to do combination readings. We start out with Tarot. I'm a psychic medium, so I channel messages the whole time. Okay, so as things come in, I will relay messages to you. But we'll get a feel with Tarot, and then we'll, look at the chart and see what's going on with, your transits, the planetary cycle you're in, all that good stuff. Okay. So Reiki sessions, I prefer to do separate. They are in half hour, an hour increments. And I also use tuning forks. And obviously, I can do it in person, but you can do long distance Reiki as well. So, yeah, come get your healing and reading in one session. All right. So, what do we have for this month? What does Spirit have to say? What we need to focus on for this month? This is for the collective. So, this is for everybody. All right. Great Spirit. Okay. Ooh, all righty. So, first card I pulled is the Two of Swords. You can see. So, this card, they call it peace in this deck. This is the Handel Tarot. Um, and it is about coming to find peace after a period of conflict. So this is a really good sign. I think that, Jupiter and Mercury being together and then the sun going there, we're going to get some peace with international relations, but also on a collective level. Like I said, we've got to choose peace. Don't choose war, right? Don't let people trigger you. Don't let other people upset you. This is what this is about, taking your power back and choosing peace. Okay. Then we have Queen of Wands, Mother of Wands in the East, Kali. And when Kali comes up, she's here to protect you. Okay. Kali is the fiercest warrior in the whole Hindu pantheon. Okay. And when she shows up in a reading, you're kind of in some trouble and you need her help. But it's a good sign that things are going to turn out in your favor. Okay. So if she's being invoked, it's because we've had to step away from conflict, right? And here she is to help us. So I think it's a good sign that we should all do some Kali mantras. Um, you know, uh, there's several you can do. Go to YouTube and you can pick the one that sounds right to you. But it is an indication that we're in intense times where leaders really have to have their feet held to the fire because there's a lot of corruption, man. I mean, I never thought I would live to see the kinds of things that I'm seeing, unfortunately, but that's why she's here. Okay. So yay. And then we have Ace of Cups reversed. Now, a reversed card, especially an ace card, does not always mean a no. It does not always mean something negative. I think of it as the document is loading and it's coming in and it's going to be upright. And also, I'm getting, that this is indicating the good times to come that are going to happen when Jupiter goes into Cancer, which is this fall. It'll be there for like 3 months or so, and then retrograde back into Gemini. And then next year, when Gemini or Jupiter goes into Cancer again, that's when this is going to be upright. That's what I feel. So we've got to choose peace, not war. Okay. protect yourself, protect your family, do your mantras, do some kind of offering for Kali. You know, if you have a statue of her, you know, give her some flowers, maybe some food, a little plate of food, a little plate of water, and it's just for her. Okay. And focus on love. Focus on bringing in happiness and joy because this is our resonant frequency. I really feel that people have gotten away from that and they've forgotten um, to be kind to each other and to be kind to yourself too. You know, this is look, if somebody else is being mean to you, guess what? Don't take it personal because they treat everybody that way, including themselves. Okay. So be kind to yourself, treat others as you want to be treated, and we'll get through this transition. So I hope that helps you guys. Like I said, if you want a reading, head on over to hindustanastrology.com. And until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.